He kicked the door in, just like he always did. Heavy, loud, cracked at the hinges. It bounced off the wall and stayed there, wide open. Then he stopped. No smell, no rot, no flies. The floor was clean, swept so smooth it looked like wax. The window panes were clear. No grit, no cobwebs, not even in the corners above the stove. The firewood was stacked neatly in the crate he hadn't touched since March. A folded quilt, white and perfect, sat on the edge of the bed. He didn't move. His boots, still caked in trail dust, hovered above the boards, like stepping in would ruin something sacred or dangerous. He reached for the revolver on his belt. A whisper. Behind him. Low. Female. Levi. He turned slow. There was a woman on the porch, not leaning, not afraid, not smiling, just standing there. "You're not supposed to be here," he said. "I cleaned," she said. "I didn't ask you to." She didn't answer. She had no horse, no bag, no coat, bare arms, gray dress, boots older than his. He stepped forward. "You knew my name." "You gave it to me once," she said, "before you forgot." "I don't forget people." "You forgot me." He looked at the cabin behind him. "Who let you in?" "You did." "No, I didn't." She nodded once. "Your father did first." "My father's dead." "I know." He scanned her face. Didn't recognize the nose, the cheekbones, the mouth, but something in the way she looked at him made his stomach twist. "What's your name?" "Don't use it anymore," she said. "Ain't clean enough." "Where are you from?" "Same place you are." "No one's from here." "You are," she said. "So am I." He stepped past her, off the porch. "Who told you could be in my house?" "I didn't wait to be told." He looked at her hands. No dirt, no cuts, no dust under her nails. But she said she cleaned. Every inch. "You worked for my father?" "Yes." "When?" "Before your mother died." "My mother died in childbirth." She looked at him hard. "She died after." "That's not what he said." She didn't blink. "No, it's not." He looked back at the cabin. Something in his chest itched. The rugs were gone. Burn them. The trap door? Locked it. He felt cold run down his spine. There was never a trap door. "You never looked close enough." He stared at her. "You trying to scare me?" "No," she said. "I'm trying to clean what he left behind." "I don't need you to." She didn't speak. He walked to the edge of the porch, lit a match, dropped it just to see if the wind would catch. It didn't. "Why'd you come?" he asked. "I was always here," she said. "You just never looked." He kicked the match away. "That's not an answer." She took a step toward him. "I know what was under the third plank, the one near the hearth. I know what was stuffed in the stovepipe. I know what's buried under the apple tree that never grew apples." He stepped back. "You're crazy." "No," she said. "You are. You just don't know it yet." He looked at the barn in the distance. No movement. "You're lying." She walked past him. Into the cabin. He followed. "Get out." She picked up the quilt from the bed, smoothed it once. "This is the one your mother made when you were sick." She sewed her own hair into the seams. He froze. "No one knows that," he said. "I do." "You weren't here." "I was." He looked at the floor again, at the clean boards. "Why now?" "Because you came back," she said. "I never said I was coming." "You didn't have to. This house calls back what it can't bury." He felt the sweat break at the back of his neck. "You need to leave." "I already did," she said. "A long time ago." "Then stay gone." She looked at him one last time. "I know what you saw. I know what you covered. I know what your father taught you to forget." He stepped toward her fast, grabbed her arm. She didn't flinch. "You say one more word." "You'll do what he did?" she asked. He let go. "You need to leave." "I will," she said. "But when I do, this house won't stay clean." He stared at her. The firewood snapped in the hearth. The wind didn't blow, but the front door creaked. She walked out slow, didn't slam it, didn't look back. He stood there, boots still tracking dirt on the floor, and the dust didn't settle. He shut the door behind her and locked it this time, bolted it. Then he stood in the center of the room, hands on his belt, breathing slow like something was hunting him. He told himself it was just a trespasser, just a squatter with stories. The fire popped. Then the boards creaked behind him. He turned fast. She was back, standing barefoot on the porch again, like she hadn't moved an inch, like she'd never left. "You didn't hear the lock?" he asked. She didn't answer. "You didn't knock either?" "No." He opened the door just enough to step outside, didn't invite her in. "You were gone." "I was never far." "You were off this porch," he said. "I saw you walk." "Doesn't mean I left." He looked at her feet, bare, pale, dustless. "You want something?" "I already told you." "Yeah, you cleaned." "For your father. He never hired help." "He never had to," she said. "I came anyway." He squinted at her. "He didn't let strangers near this place." "I wasn't a stranger." He stepped closer. "Then why don't I know your name?" "You said it once," she said. "Before you learned not to." He shook his head. "You ain't talking straight." "I am," she said. "You just don't want it to make sense." He stepped off the porch. "Tell me where you came from." "Here." "No, you didn't." "You think this place belongs to you?" she asked. "It does." "It didn't start with you. It won't end with you." His hand hovered near his belt again. "You're not a ghost." "No," she said. "But I remember things the dead do. You need to go." "I told you. I came back to clean." "There's nothing left to clean." "You sure?" she asked. She reached past him and tapped the porch rail with her finger. A fine layer of white dust rose into the air. Not dirt, something softer, lighter. He stared at it. "That's ash," he said. "I know." "There wasn't a fire." "There was," she said. "But not the kind you saw." He stepped back. "You say a lot of things like they mean something." "They do," she said. "To you." "You got family here?" "I did." "Where are they now?" She looked past him toward the woods. "Gone before the sheriff ever looked." "What does that mean?" "It means," she said, "he never asked the right questions." He watched her. "You trying to scare me?" "No." "You think if you talk strange enough, I'll hand you the keys?" "You don't have keys," she said. "You got memory that's harder to lose." He stepped closer. "I don't know you." "You will." "I don't want to." "Too late." He looked at the door, then back at her. "You don't talk like a maid." "Maybe I wasn't one," she said. "Then why say you cleaned?" "Because somebody had to." He let out a breath. "You ever work at the mill?" "No." "You from the mission town?" "No." "You know the Holloways." "They knew me." He nodded slowly. "You just talk in riddles, don't you?" "Only when I'm asked the wrong things." He rubbed his face. "Why now?" "You came back." "You keep saying that like it matters." "It does," she said. "It changes what's still buried." He leaned on the porch rail. "There's nothing buried." She tilted her head. "You ever dig beneath your father's shed?" "No." "You should." "What would I find?" "Whatever he didn't burn." He looked at her again, harder this time. "You think I'm scared of you?" "No," she said. "I think you're scared of what you don't remember." He stood up straight. "I remember plenty." "Like the girl who braided her hair too tight." He blinked. "What did you say?" "You knew her," she said. "She used to leave pins on the porch rail." "No one ever—" "She cleaned too," the woman said. "But not for long." He turned and opened the door. "You're leaving now." "I already did." "Don't play with me." "I'm not." He stepped back inside. "You come back again, I won't be polite." She looked at the cabin one more time. "I didn't come for you," she said. "I came for what you forgot to bury." Then she walked off, not rushed, not afraid. He watched her go, didn't follow, didn't speak, just stood there, and behind him the fire let out a single crack, like something was remembering too. She came back the next morning like it was routine, like she'd never left the porch. He stepped outside slow, rifle slung loose on his shoulder, didn't point it, didn't lower it either. She was sweeping, again, with no broom, just her hand across the rail, brushing off dust that wasn't there. "You got nowhere else to be?" he asked. "I'm where I'm meant to be." "You say that like it's scripture." She kept sweeping. "You don't even know this place," he said. "You talk like you do." "But you don't." "I know the nail under the floorboard that cuts your sock if you walk too fast." He froze. She looked up. "I know the mirror behind the wardrobe, the one with the crack shaped like a bird. You used to stare at it when your father wasn't watching." "You could have found that," he said. I know the loose hinge on the cabinet, the one your mother never fixed. She said it squeaked like a voice trying to speak. He blinked. She said that? She whispered it to me, the maid said. The day she couldn't hold her cup. He stepped forward. What cup? The blue one, with the chipped rim. She always drank from that one. Said it was the last thing he ain't touched. He stared. You're lying. She didn't answer, just stepped around him and tapped the porch with her knuckles. This board here, she said. You buried a silver coin under it. Told your mother it was for luck. He swallowed. That's not proof. She tapped her temple. You were 5. You had a fever. You said the shadows moved when you blinked. Stop. She carried you into the parlor, she said, wrapped you in her own nightgown. I said stop. You bled from the nose. She said it was from the poison in the soil. That's when she stopped drinking the well water. He grabbed her arm. Don't say another word. Her face didn't change. She told me something else, the maid said. That last day. I don't care. She said, he tightened his grip. I'll break your wrist. She leaned in. She said, don't let him learn to clean blood before he learns to wash his own hands. He let go, stepped back like he touched fire. You weren't there. I was. You weren't in that room. She called for me, the maid said, when he wouldn't come. You're lying. She didn't want to die alone. He looked away. You don't belong here. I never left. You ain't in any records. That's the point. He walked to the edge of the porch. Took deep breaths. You trying to twist me up? No. You trying to make me think I was part of something I wasn't? You were always part of it, she said. Even when you kept your eyes closed, he spun on her. You think just because you talk calm, you're right? No. You think listing names and places makes you family? I never wanted to be family. Then what do you want? I want the names remembered. He pointed at the house. That place don't remember anything. She stepped toward him. It does. You just don't listen. I've been gone 10 years. She nodded. Long enough for silence to settle. Not long enough for it to stay. He stared at her. You said names. She nodded. He crossed his arms. Go on then. She didn't blink. Eliza. The girl who wore braids until he cut them. Marcy. The one with the burn scar on her thigh. Said it was from his lantern. Ruth, the youngest. Couldn't talk, wouldn't stop crying. He made her stop. He flinched. No. You know them, she said. I never... You passed them in the hallway. They weren't there. They were, just not when you looked. He sat on the porch rail, looked down at the dirt. I never saw anything. That was your job, she said. Not to see. He nodded slowly. He told me to stay in my room. I know. He said they were just travelers, that we were helping. She sat across from him, knees touching. You believed him? He looked at her. I wanted to. She reached into her dress pocket, pulled something out. A pin. Small, rusted, shaped like a flower. She left this on the bed. He took it, held it like it might cut him. I remember this. She braided it into her hair. Marcy? No. Eliza? No. He looked up. Who then? Me, she said. He dropped the pin. You were one of them. I was the first. Silence. Heavy. Hot. She stood. I came back to clean. But you have to open the last door. There's no door left. She pointed to the house. 3rd room, behind the wardrobe. That room's empty. No, she said. It remembers me. She walked off the porch. Didn't wait for him. Didn't turn back. And this time, he followed. He woke up sweating. Again. The fire was low, almost out, but the room glowed wrong. He sat up slow, blanket twisted around his legs. The quilt, the one she said was his mother's, lay folded, untouched, at the foot of the bed. He hadn't used it. He hadn't touched it. The chair by the fire had moved. Again. It wasn't where he left it. It never was. Every night, he'd shove it back into the corner, push it up against the wall. Every morning it came back, sat square in front of the hearth like someone had dragged it there to watch something burn. He stood, barefoot, quiet, didn't light a lantern, didn't breathe heavy, just walked slow. The floor creaked once beneath his heel. In the other room, something shifted. He followed the sound, soft scraping, wet cloth dragging across wood. He stepped through the doorway. She was there, kneeling on both knees, hands moving in slow circles across the floor, scrubbing, but not with a brush, not with water. Just rubbing the boards with her bare palms like she was trying to rub memory off the wood. There was nothing there, no stain, no blood, just clean pine. But she kept going. He didn't speak at first, didn't want to break it, just stood in the doorway and watched her push something invisible back into the cracks. Then she whispered, "It's under the rug." He looked down. There was no rug. "Where?" he asked. She didn't answer. "You said under. There's nothing here." She kept scrubbing. "Are you sleepwalking?" he asked. "I don't sleep," she said. He stepped closer. "What are you cleaning?" "What he left behind." "There's nothing here." That's the lie. He watched her. "What's under the rug?" "You already know." "No, I don't." She stopped scrubbing, finally looked up. "Yes, you do." "I never saw it." "You never looked." He knelt beside her. "You keep talking like you were here when I was a child, like you saw things I didn't." "I did." "You said you were the first." "First what?" "First to scream in this house and not be heard." He went quiet. She turned her hand over, showed her palm. Nothing there, no blood, no stain, but her fingers shook like they remembered something her skin didn't. "He dragged it across the floor," she said. "The rug, covered the boards, told your mother it was for warmth, but it wasn't." "Then what was it for?" "Wait," she said, to press the sound down. He stood and backed up. "There's nothing under these boards." "Then prove it." He stared at the floor. One plank in the center was darker than the rest, slightly, just a tone off. He stepped on it, felt the hollow, grabbed the fire poker, jammed it between the slats. It lifted. The room smelled different, not rot, not mold, something older. He dropped to his knees and pulled the plank back. Underneath, wrapped in something that looked like oilcloth, was a small bundle. He didn't touch it. "Go ahead," she said. He opened the cloth slow. Inside, a braid, long, thin, still tied with a faded ribbon, pale blue. His hands went cold. She said nothing. He stood too fast, stumbled. "This don't prove anything." "It proves everything," she said. "I didn't put it there." "But you stepped over it," she said. Year after year, he looked down at the braid. "I thought she ran away." "She did," the maid said, "but not far." He paced the room. "Why are you doing this?" "I told you. I came to clean." "This isn't cleaning. This is digging." "Same thing," she said. "Some dirt's just older." He walked to the door. "I need air." He stepped outside. The night was still. No bugs. No wind. The porch groaned under his weight. He stood there, staring at the tree line. She came out a moment later. "You remember her name now?" she asked. "I don't want to." "That's not the same thing." He swallowed. "Eliza." The maid nodded. "She was kind." "She was quiet," he said. "She gave me a toy horse carved from bone. She made it from a deer she found dead in the creek." He turned. "You were there?" "I showed her how to boil it clean." He sat down on the step. "I never knew where she went." "You knew enough to stop asking." He didn't argue. She sat beside him. "You want the rest of the floor open?" "No." "She wasn't the only one." "I know." They sat in silence. The wind came back. He looked at his hands. "I used to watch him through the keyhole, thought he was just drunk, thought he was hurting the walls, not people." "You were a child," she said. "I'm not anymore." "No," she said. "You're the one who came back." He stood. "We bury it." She stood too. "Not yet." "Why?" "You haven't opened the wardrobe door." He looked at her. "There's nothing behind it." "There is," she said. "And it's waiting." He turned and looked back at the house, and the chair by the fire had moved again, back to where it always ended up, facing the flames, watching. She didn't clean with her hands. Not really. She cleaned with memory. And now the dust was falling off everything he thought he'd forgotten. He ripped the rug out at dawn, didn't fold it, didn't roll it, just grabbed a corner and dragged it across the floor like it was a carcass. The braid still sat on the table. The floorboard he'd pulled was still open. He hadn't closed it, didn't want to hear the sound of it sealing again. She watched from the doorway. "You sure you want to burn it?" she asked. "It don't belong here." "Neither do I." He didn't look at her. Outside, the sky was flat gray. No wind. He hauled the rug to the bare patch of dirt near the fence, where nothing grew, not even weeds. She followed. He dropped the rug in a heap and struck a match. It flared, bright orange, then flickered. He held it to the edge. Nothing. The flame hissed once, then died. He struck another, touched it to the seam. Still nothing. "Maybe it's damp," he muttered. "It's not," she said. He struck a third match, shoved it deep into the folds. Smoke curled for a second, then vanished. The rug stayed dark. Unburnt. He stood back. "Wood burns, rope burns, this should burn." "Not this one," she said. "Why?" "The fire knows," she said. "It won't take what's still owed." "That's nonsense." "It's memory," she said. "Not fabric." He stepped toward her. "You put something on it?" "No." "You treat it with something?" "No." "Then why?" "I told you," she said. "It's hiding something." He stared at the rug. "You think it matters? Burning it?" "It won't go until it's looked at." "I already looked," he snapped. "Not enough," she said. "You dragged it, but you didn't see it." He paced, hands shaking. "This is insane." She said nothing. Then the sound of a truck rolled up the hill. He turned fast. A dust-brown sheriff's cruiser crawled into the yard. Old metal. Bad tires. The sheriff stepped out slow. Same one from his father's time. Hat low. Eyes narrow. "Well?" the sheriff said. "Didn't expect to see you again." The cowboy didn't move. "You got business?" "Got a call," the sheriff said. "Said there's strange behavior up here. A woman's voice." The cowboy swallowed. "You got a name?" "I do," the sheriff said. "And I still carry the badge. You." He didn't answer. The sheriff walked closer. "Care to explain the fire attempt?" "Trying to get rid of junk." "That rug?" "Yeah." "Didn't catch," the sheriff noted. "No." "Curious." The cowboy folded his arms. "Who called you?" The sheriff looked past him, toward the house. "Lady said she cleaned for your father, said things ain't as buried as they seem." The cowboy shook his head. "There's no one here." "No?" "No woman." The sheriff raised a brow. "You sure?" He nodded. The sheriff looked back at the window. She stood there, inside, hands folded, watching, smiling. The sheriff tipped his hat slightly. "Funny," he said. "Thought I saw someone." "No one's here," the cowboy said again. "You all right?" "I'm fine." "You been sleeping?" "Yeah." "Drinking?" "No." The sheriff studied his face. "You know you don't gotta lie to me." "I'm not lying." The sheriff pointed to the braid still on the porch table. "That yours?" The cowboy looked, swallowed. "Old keepsake," he muttered. "From who?" "Doesn't matter." "Looks like child's hair." The cowboy didn't answer. "You see anything out here I should know about?" "No." "No strange folk coming through?" "No." "No girls?" "I said no." The sheriff sighed. "You always were your father's son." The cowboy stiffened. "That's supposed to mean something." The sheriff shrugged. "Just saying." He knew how to shut a door when it needed shutting. The cowboy stepped forward. "I'm not him." "You sure?" "Yes." The sheriff nodded slow. "Well, keep your fire legal. And if you do see a woman, maybe let her talk next time instead of pretending she ain't there." He walked back to his cruiser, tipped his hat once, drove off slow. The cowboy stood still, watched the dust settle behind the tires. When he turned, she was on the porch again, leaning in the doorway. "You told him I was here," he said. "I told him the rug wasn't yours to keep." "You want me arrested?" "No." "You want me exposed?" "No." "Then what?" "I want the house to stop lying." He pointed at the braid. "You want me to give this to him? Say I kept it like a trophy." "You want to pretend you didn't know it was there." He looked at the rug. Still whole, still dark. He stepped toward her. "You keep showing up like a storm that won't pass." "I don't bring the rain," she said. "I just show you where it falls." "You want to punish me." "I want you to open the wardrobe." He didn't speak. She walked inside, left the door open. He followed. Inside, the chair had moved again. Back to the fire, facing the hearth, waiting. He stared at it, then at the hallway. At the end, the door he'd never opened. He didn't want to. Not because of what was inside, but because of what he already knew would be. The rug didn't burn, and neither would the truth. He sat on the edge of the bed, hands still dirty from trying to burn the rug. The braid was gone. So was she. For the first time in days, the house was quiet. Still. He almost believed she wasn't coming back. Then came the voice. "You ever wonder why the badge skipped a name?" He didn't turn. "You're still here." "Always was." He looked up. She stood in the doorway, holding something wrapped in a cloth. "What's that?" She stepped closer, unfolded the cloth slow. Inside was a silver badge, old, bent slightly near the tip. "Where'd you find it?" "In the ravine." "You went down there?" "I was already buried there once," she said. "Didn't take much to find the place again." He stood. "That badge belongs to the sheriff." "No," she said. "It used to belong to her." "Who?" "She wore it before him." "There's never been a woman sheriff." "Not officially." He stared at the badge. "She was a deputy," the maid said. "Quiet, brave. She asked the wrong questions." He shook his head. "There's no record of that." "She didn't make it into records," she said. "Your father made sure." "Stop." "He buried her in '84, she said, "down where the ravine curves behind the chapel trees." He stepped back. "You don't know that." "I was there." "You said you were a maid." "I was more than that," she said. "I cleaned what others left behind, including her." He swallowed hard. "She disappeared," the maid said. "The paper said she quit, moved north." "She did." "No," she said. "She wore her badge until the end. He stripped it off her shirt before he filled her mouth with gravel." He flinched. "You weren't there." "I felt it," she said. "Same hole, same dirt, same shovel." He turned and grabbed his coat. "Where are you going?" she asked. "To see the sheriff." She didn't follow. As he rode through the ridge road, the wind started again. Sharp, dry wind that kicked up dust and stung the eyes. He remembered stories from years back. Around the fire, his father used to laugh. Said a girl with a badge was asking to get herself hurt. Said there was one once, back before the county lines shifted. Said she was trouble. Too many questions. Too much pride. She asked about a ledger. Then she vanished. They said she left in the night, but no one saw her ride out. He reached the station by sundown. The sheriff was sitting on the porch, boot up on the rail, hat pulled low. "Something on your mind?" The cowboy stepped off the horse. Slow. "You said once about a missing deputy." The sheriff looked up. "Maybe." "In '84. The sheriff didn't answer. "You remember her name?" "No one does," the sheriff said. "She didn't stay long. But she worked here. For a little while. She disappear." "Wasn't my time then," the sheriff said. "But I heard talk." "What kind?" The sheriff tapped his boot. "She wanted to see things she shouldn't. Got herself in deep. One day she just didn't show. Folks said she ran." "She didn't," the cowboy said. The sheriff narrowed his eyes. "What do you know?" "Enough." "You got proof?" The cowboy pulled out the badge, held it in both hands. The sheriff stood. "Where'd you get that?" "Found it." "Where?" He didn't answer. The sheriff walked forward, took the badge, turned it over. There were scratches on the back, letters carved shallow, a name, mostly rubbed off. "You know what this means?" "Yeah," the cowboy said. "That somebody buried something worse than a deputy." The sheriff exhaled slow. "Best let go sly." He looked up. "Why? Because my father asked you to?" The sheriff didn't speak. "You knew." "Didn't have proof," the sheriff said. "Still don't." "She told me," the cowboy said. "Who?" "The maid." The sheriff's face turned. "There ain't been a maid up there in 40 years. She cleaned." "She didn't clean you," the sheriff said. "She cleaned the house after." "What?" "She came around after your mother died," the sheriff said. "Helped tidy up. Your father didn't want her there, but she stayed a while. She said she worked for him." "Not for long." The sheriff stepped back. "She wasn't right. Talked to herself. Said the house spoke through the floorboards. Called her name at night." The cowboy's voice dropped. "What was her name?" The sheriff paused. "Didn't keep it on record," he said, "but I remember she always wore gray." The cowboy nodded. "She still does." "She ain't alive," the sheriff said. "No," the cowboy said. "She ain't." He turned to leave. "Where you headed?" The sheriff called. "Back to the house." "Why?" "To open the last door." He rode back slower. The wind had stopped, but the silence was heavier than noise. When he reached the porch, she was already waiting. Same gray dress, bare feet. He handed her the badge. She didn't take it. "I don't need it," she said. "Then who does?" "The room," she said. It remembers. He looked past her, toward the hallway, toward the wardrobe. "I'll open it," he said. She didn't smile. She just whispered, "Then don't look away." He was tearing the chimney apart, ash up to his elbows, soot in his hair. The hearthstone scraped his knees, but he kept digging. He wasn't even sure what he was looking for. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. Then his hand hit something hard, not brick, not coal. Wood. He pulled it out slow, small, carved, worn smooth where fingers once gripped it tight. A wooden gun, barrel chipped, handle faded, the trigger long gone. But it was his. He knew it like he knew his own hand. He turned it over. On the side, near the butt, 2 letters scratched in with a nail. L.H. Levi Hale. His breath caught. He hadn't seen this since he was 10. He used to run around the yard aiming at trees, at crows, at shadows, at people. Behind him, the floor creaked. "You found it," she said. He didn't look back. "You were watching." I knew it was still there. He stood, wiped ash from his palms. "You put it there?" "No," she said. "You did." "I don't remember." "You pointed it at me once." He turned. She stood near the cold stove, barefoot, hands folded. "That never happened," he said. "You aimed it right at my chest." "I wouldn't do that." "You said bang," she said, then smiled. He looked down at the toy. "That was a long time ago." "Not for me. I was a kid." "So was I," she said. He set the gun on the mantel. It wasn't real. It felt real. He turned. "You're saying I hurt you?" "I'm saying you saw me," she said. "And aimed anyway." "I don't remember that." "Then why do you flinch when I speak?" He didn't answer. She stepped forward. "I was in the pantry," she said. "Your father told me not to come out, said his son didn't like strangers, said it'd be easier if I stayed quiet." He shook his head. "I don't remember this." "You opened the door," she said, held the gun up, looked me in the eyes. "It was just a game." "No," she said. "You knew what you were doing." He looked away. "You're twisting this." "I'm remembering it," she said. "I never meant to scare you." "You did more than that." He stepped away from the hearth. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because the house wants you to remember." "I don't want to." "That's not enough." He looked at the chair by the fire. It had moved again, closer. "I don't remember aiming at you." "You don't remember her either," she said. "The one who sang to herself in the cellar." "I never—" "She braided your hair once. You pulled away, said boys don't do that." He blinked. His hand went to the back of his head. "Anna," he whispered. "She wasn't his daughter," the maid said, "but she called him father anyway." He sat down hard on the edge of the hearth. The wooden gun stared at him from the mantel. "I didn't know what was happening." "You felt it." "I didn't understand." "You didn't ask." "I was afraid." "You still are." He looked up at her. "You said I pointed it at you." "I never forgot." "Then why come back?" "To see if you'd remember." "And if I don't?" "You will," she said. He picked up the toy again, held it in both hands. "It's just wood." "It was enough," she said. "Back then." He closed his eyes. "I never wanted to be like him." "You learned from him anyway." He opened his eyes. "How do I undo it?" "You can't," she said. "But you can listen." "To what?" "To what you tried not to hear." He stared at the flue. "Who else did I hurt?" She didn't answer. That silence told him enough. He stood, walked to the hall, stopped at the wardrobe door. His hand hovered near the knob. "I don't want to see what's behind this." "Then you'll never know who you were," she said. "I already hate who I was." "Not enough." He turned the knob. The door creaked. Dark inside, cold air, the smell of something old. He stepped back. The wooden gun dropped from his hand, hit the floor. The echo of it bounced off the walls like a real shot. She stood beside him. "You pointed it once," she said, "but now you have to carry it." He nodded. "I'm listening." The storm passed in the night. When he woke, the window was open. Dust on the floor formed a new trail. From the wardrobe to the bookshelf, nothing else moved. Nothing else needed to. He followed the dust. The third shelf. His father's Bible. Thick, heavy, never opened unless someone died. He pulled it down, wiped the cover with his sleeve. Leather cracked, corners chewed by time. He flipped through the pages, expecting brittle scripture, yellowed edges. But something shifted loose from between the pages near Exodus. A folded square, thick, oiled. He unfolded it slow. Not paper, not parchment. Skin. Tanned, preserved, inked in black lines that hadn't faded. It was a map. He recognized the outline of the house, the barn, the ravine, the well, each corner labeled in cramped, sharp script. Near the center, a red X. Below it, her name. Sarah. He dropped it, stumbled back. The skin hit the floor and curled inward. Behind him, her voice was already waiting. "You found it." He turned. She stood by the door, barefoot as always, eyes locked on the map. "What is this?" "Your father's ledger," she said. "The one they never found. Drawn on skin." He didn't trust paper. He stepped around it like it might scream. "Whose is it?" She didn't answer. "Tell me." "You already know." He crouched beside it again. "Why your name?" "Because I was first," she said. "You said that before. Now you believe it." He traced the line from the house to the well. "What's there?" "Bones." "Yours?" "No." "Then whose?" "All of them," she said. "The ones who didn't fit inside the house." He stood. "Why map it?" "For control," she said, so he'd never forget what he buried. He stared at her. "And you call that my inheritance?" She nodded. "You were meant to carry it forward." "I didn't." "No," she said. "You walked away." But the house remembered. He folded the skin back up, slowly. "What do I do with it?" "Read it," she said. "Follow it." "Why?" "Because the ground still holds the names, and they won't stay quiet forever." He clenched his jaw. "You think digging them up will make it right?" "No," she said. "But pretending they're not there makes it worse." He put the map on the table, stared at it like it might catch fire. Why didn't he burn it? "Because even monsters keep records," she said, "especially the careful ones." He looked at the tiny script again, dates, initials, arrows. "How long did it go on?" "Longer than you want to know." He ran a hand through his hair. "I played in this yard. I ran around that well. I drank from it." "And you never asked why it tasted like copper?" He didn't answer. She stepped closer. "You have a choice," she said. "Carry the silence. Or mark the graves." "I can't fix what he did." "You're not supposed to," she said. "You're supposed to admit it happened." He looked up. "At what cost?" "Truth is the cost." He folded the map again. Tighter this time. "I'm not him." "You pointed the gun," she said. "I was a child." "You're not now." He picked up the Bible and put it back on the shelf. "Where's the first mark?" "The well." He grabbed his coat. "I'll go there." "You should go alone." "You're not coming." "I never left," she said. "But this step is yours." He didn't ask what that meant. He walked out the front door, map in his pocket, and didn't look back. The wind was dead. The yard felt smaller, like everything was folding inward. He reached the well in 5 minutes. The lid was warped wood, nailed down long ago. He pulled at it. It didn't budge. Then it cracked, split in the center. He peeled it open with the butt of his knife, stared down into the dark, nothing but cold. He lit a match, dropped it in. No splash, just the soft sound of flame disappearing into nothing. He sat on the edge, pulled the map from his pocket, ran his fingers across her name, Sarah. She was there before the others, before the badge, before the rug, and now he was sitting above what his father thought could stay buried forever. The house behind him creaked once, just once, then went still again, and the map didn't move in the wind. The map folded easy now, like it wanted to be touched, like it had waited long enough. He traced the lines again, slow, dirty thumb dragging from the well toward the woods, past the barn, toward the ridge behind the dry creek. That corner of the map was marked with an O. Nothing else, no name, just that. He followed it. The grass grew thinner the farther he walked. By the time he hit the slope, it was just dust and leaves. A narrow path curved through the trees. He'd never noticed it before, not once. The silence got thicker with each step. No birds, no insects, no wind, just the sound of dead leaves cracking under his boots. He came to the edge of the pit. Didn't know it was a pit at first. The leaves blanketed it like skin, but the ground dipped wrong, sagged like something buried too shallow. He stepped in. The leaves shifted. Beneath them, leather, boots, a pile of them. Not ranch boots, not trail boots. Polished, black, sharp-pointed. Shiny buckles, clean soles. Too clean. He knelt, picked one up. It still smelled like oil, like it had never walked a mile in dirt. He turned it over. No wear, no cracks, no dust. Then another beside it, larger, embroidered near the cuff. Gold stitching. GD. He dropped it. His stomach turned. Behind him, footsteps. Soft ones. Then her voice. They came at night. He didn't turn. Your father opened the door. How many? He asked. Enough to fill the room without talking. He stood. Why here? It was far enough from town, she said, but close enough to walk back before sunrise. He looked at the boots again. These are officials. Yes. Leaders. Yes. He picked one up again. Politicians. She nodded. Names? He asked. She didn't answer. Tell me. They left the names at the door, she said. Like hats. He stepped back from the pile. How old are these? Some before you were born, some after. You watched them? No, she said. I listened. He turned to her. You let this happen. I was a child, she said. Like you. He shook his head. This isn't just my father. No, she said. But he laid the foundation. The others built on it. He kicked the leaves. You said he buried girls. He did. And the others. They paid for silence, she said, and for doors to stay shut. He dropped into a crouch. These boots. Each one left after the fact, she said. He took their shoes, said it was insurance. He looked up. Why? In case they forgot what they owed him. He stared at the initials again. GD, he said. Governor Dalton. She didn't confirm, didn't deny. You're telling me my father blackmailed the entire ridgeline? I'm telling you he kept receipts, she said. And now they're mine, she nodded. Why show me? Because you were next. I never asked for any of this. You didn't have to, she said. Blood signs its own contract. He stood shaky. What else is on this map? You don't want to know. I didn't want to know any of it. She walked past him, knelt by the boots. She picked one up, held it to her chest like it had weight. This one belonged to the man who told your father girls were cheaper than cattle. He looked away. And this one, she said, picking another, belonged to the preacher who gave Sunday sermons about purity. I'm gonna be sick, he said. You should be. He turned. I should take this to the sheriff. He already knows, she said. He froze. What? He just never saw the boots. You said I said he didn't have proof, she said. Not that he didn't know. He grabbed the nearest boot and threw it. It hit the tree and bounced like it weighed nothing. They all knew. Not all. Enough. And no one did anything. No one ever does. He looked at the ground. So many souls. All pointed the same direction, like they were still marching. They just came and left. Like guests, she said. Like ghosts. He shook his head. You said this was my inheritance. It is. You think I want it? No, she said. But you were born with it. He walked to the edge of the pit. What if I bury it deeper? It'll rise again. What if I burn it? It won't catch, she said. Fire doesn't take what hasn't confessed. He turned to her. You want me to dig them all up? No, she said. Just don't pretend they weren't there. He nodded, stared at the boots one more time, then turned away. The wind picked up, blew leaves across the trail, but the pit didn't cover, and the boots didn't sink. They waited, like they always had. He nailed the door shut just after sundown, used rusted nails thick as his finger, the kind meant for barns, not cabins. One by one he drove them deep, bent the heads flat, reinforced the frame with scrap wood from the shed, 2 crossbars, a chair wedged under the handle. He checked every window twice, locked, latched. He didn't light the fire, didn't need the comfort. He just sat in the dark with the skin map spread across the table, the folded braid beside it, and his father's Bible unopened between the two. He didn't pray. He didn't move. When the clock struck midnight, he heard it, the soft brushing sound. Inside, not outside the door. Inside, a slow, rhythmic sweep, back and forth, back and forth. He froze, didn't breathe. The room smelled like dust and lie. He stood, slow, picked up the fire poker from beside the hearth, tiptoed toward the hall. The sweeping didn't stop, just kept going. No rush, no panic. Like someone doing a chore they'd done 100 times. He stepped into the hallway. She was at the end, gray dress, bare feet, sweeping nothing with nothing, no broom, just her hand. Dragging along the floor, fingers splayed. He raised the poker. You didn't knock. I never do. You weren't invited. I don't need to be. He pointed at the door. It's shut, locked, nailed. Yes. How'd you get in? I was already here. You weren't. She stopped sweeping, turned her head. I was always here, she said. You just barred the wrong door. He stepped forward. You need to leave, she smiled. I'm not here for you. You keep saying that, because you keep trying to make it about you. He pointed the poker at her chest. You said I pointed a gun at you. I remember now. I know. I was a child, and now you're not. You want me to feel guilty? No, she said. I want you to feel responsible. He lowered the poker. I didn't do what he did. No, she said. But you watched the door stay shut. You heard the floorboards creak, and you stayed in bed. I was scared. So was I. He turned away. I sealed this house. Wood can't hold out the past, she said. He grabbed her wrist. Why now? She didn't flinch. Because you came back, she said. I should have stayed gone. Then nothing would have changed. He let go. I tried to burn the rug. I know. I found the boots. I know. I opened the wardrobe. And what did it show you? He didn't answer. She leaned in. You think this house is haunted? He nodded. No, she said. You are. He stepped back. You don't clean anything, he said. She smiled wider. I don't clean for you. Then who? I clean you. He went still. I'm not dirty. She laughed, soft, like a girl. Then why do you still see blood where there is none? He swallowed hard. You said you were buried. I was. You said he opened the door for them. He did, and I didn't stop it. She nodded. You think you're punishing me, he said. No, she said. I think I'm waking you. He looked at the nailed door. There's nothing out there anymore. No, she said. Now it's all in here. He stepped away from her, back toward the kitchen. The floor creaked with each step. You can leave, he said. I won't. Why? Because the truth doesn't knock either, she said. It walks straight in. He sat down at the table again, looked at the folded braid, at the skin map, at the Bible. He didn't open any of them. She stood in the doorway, watching, waiting. He didn't ask her to leave again, because he knew now. The maid never knocked. Because she never had to. He hadn't slept. The poker still lay by the hearth. The fire never caught. The house stayed cold. She was gone by morning. Again. But the rug hadn't moved. The chair hadn't either. For once, everything stayed where he left it, until the sheriff's truck pulled up the hill. Dust clouded the porch window. He didn't bother hiding, just sat at the table, hands flat, eyes waiting. A knock this time. 3 sharp raps. He opened the door slow. The sheriff stepped inside without waiting. Didn't take off his hat. You up? Never went down. The sheriff pulled a folder from under his arm. Thick, yellowed, tied with a rubber band. Had this a long time. The cowboy didn't speak. The sheriff sat across from him, untied the band, laid the first photo flat on the table. A girl, young, 11 maybe, white dress, bare feet, eyes closed, laid on her side in the dirt like someone told her to be still. Another photo, different girl, same dress, same pose. Another, and another. All still. All perfect. You know where that one was taken? The sheriff asked. The cowboy didn't look up. Barn. Yours. I didn't know. You didn't look. He said nothing. The sheriff laid down a fifth photo. This one had a name written on the back. Sarah. His throat tightened. The maid hadn't said it, but he felt it now. The way her name was never shouted, only whispered through dust and bone. You said these were rumors, the cowboy muttered. They were. Then I found these tucked behind a filing cabinet in the basement. Why now? Because you stirred something, the sheriff said. Something that stopped feeling dead. He turned another photo around. She worked for your father, didn't she? Briefly. She still does. The sheriff paused. She's dead, Levi. She's not, he said. Not here. You seeing things? I'm hearing them. The sheriff leaned back in the chair. You remember this one. He slid a photo across the table. A small girl, hair tight in braids. Eliza. He nodded. She gave me a carved horse. He whispered. She was never on a census. No missing person filed. I didn't think she was missing. No, the sheriff said. You thought she was gone, and gone was easier. The cowboy picked up the photo. My father said she ran. He said that about all of them. The sheriff folded his hands. You want to tell me what's under the floor? He didn't answer. I can get a warrant. No need. You gonna show me? He nodded. After. After what? After you tell me why you never asked. The sheriff looked him dead in the eye. I was green, he said. Fresh out of training. Your father had the whole county wrapped in silence. I didn't see it. You did, the cowboy said. You just didn't look. The sheriff nodded slowly. You're right. The cowboy stood, walked to the mantel, took down the folded skin map, laid it flat. Everything's here. The sheriff leaned in. Read the markings. The names. He tapped one corner. This one's marked O. Boots, the cowboy said. Fancy ones. The sheriff looked up. Men who don't work for a living. He nodded. I saw Governor Dalton's initials. I knew it, the sheriff muttered. You gonna arrest him? No, he said. I'm gonna bury him publicly. The cowboy folded the map again, slid it into the sheriff's hand. You sure? Yeah. You're giving this to me. I don't want it. You lived it. I flinched and called it forgettin'. The sheriff stood, held the folder tight. I'm sorry. You should be. You ready to testify? No. You afraid? Yes. But you'll do it anyway. He looked at the photos one last time. They don't talk, but they never shut up either. The sheriff tipped his hat. I'll come back tomorrow. For the floor. The cowboy nodded. Be ready. Bring help, he said. Shovel 2. The sheriff turned to leave, paused at the door. You want forgiveness? No, the cowboy said. Just truth. The door shut behind him. He was alone again. But not really. The chairs hadn't moved. Yet. And the maid would be back soon. She never knocked. She didn't have to. He started with the mop, but it wasn't enough. So he dropped it, got on his knees, took a brush to the boards until his knuckles split. The water turned red. He didn't stop. The bucket was old, dented, the one his father used after branding. He filled it from the well pump without thinking. The taste in the air hit him before the metal handle warmed in his grip. Copper, something deep. He carried it back anyway, set it by the hearth, scrubbed harder. She watched from the hallway. Didn't speak for a while, just stood there in that gray dress like part of the wall, like something that had always been part of the house, only now had eyes. He moved through the room like it had betrayed him, like every nail was a secret, every crack in the wood a lie. He scraped at a dark spot by the chair leg until the bristles bent backward. You're bleeding, she said. He didn't stop. You don't have to do it all at once. Yes, I do. He moved to the hallway, scraped between the boards, lifted the rug he'd tried to burn. Still here, he muttered. He dragged it aside and dug his fingers into the grooves. You're not cleaning, she said. You're punishing. Same thing. No. He drove the flat edge of the brush under a board, pried hard. The nail gave with a shriek. You think this helps them? She asked. I think it helps me, he snapped. Then you still don't understand. He wrenched another plank loose. The wood cracked. Something was underneath. Wrapped tight in burlap, he pulled it out with both hands. It fell apart in his lap. A braid. Shorter than the last, darker, still tied with a red ribbon. He sat back, breath gone. She stepped closer. You know her name? He stared at the ribbon. No. You should. He didn't speak. Her voice softened. She sat on your lap once. He looked up. You smiled at her. Said she had soft hands. Said you liked her laugh. He shook his head. She sang to you. The maid whispered. You told her it made the walls feel safer. No. You said she reminded you of your mother. He dropped the ribbon. That's not me. It is, she said. You just tucked it away like everything else. He slammed his hand on the floor. This wasn't mine. I didn't put her there. No, she said. But you watched her go. He stood. Stop saying that. You waved to her through the window, then went back to bed. I didn't know. You knew, she said. You just didn't look. He kicked the floorboard aside. The room echoed. I was a child. So was she. He walked into the kitchen, kicked the table. It wobbled, settled. He gripped the sink, head down. She called me Levi. The maid nodded. She did. She had freckles. Yes. He turned to her. She was the first one I forgot. No, the maid said. You never forgot. You just stopped letting yourself remember. He stepped closer. She braided your hair, he said. Didn't she? Yes. He swallowed hard. I remember you now. Her voice dropped. It was always me. He staggered back like she'd struck him. You were the girl in the barn. She nodded. The one who left pins on the porch rail. Yes. The one I aimed the wooden gun at. Yes. He dropped to his knees again. I'm sorry. She knelt beside him. There's no such thing, she said. His voice broke. I didn't know what I was learning. You learned silence first. He looked at the braid in his lap. Why are you still here? Because you're still lying to yourself. He grabbed the floorboard, slammed it down. The sound shook the glass. I didn't put her there. No, she said softly. But you never opened the floor until now. He sat back, hands shaking. There's more, isn't there? Yes. How many? Enough to line the walls if they stood shoulder to shoulder. He stared at the boards. I'll dig every one of them out. No, she said. You'll speak their names first. I don't remember them. Yes, she whispered. You do. He didn't argue, didn't move. She reached out, touched his cheek with one finger. You were made from this house, she said. And now it's asking what else you're made of. The blood on his hands was dry now. The bucket tipped over. Water pooled beneath the boards. Dark. Still. He didn't clean it. He just sat there, listening to the silence press in. And for the first time, it didn't feel empty. It felt full. He drove into town with the braid in his pocket and the skin map folded tight in the glove box. Didn't say goodbye to the house. Didn't even look at it in the mirror. He needed something clean. Facts, paper, names. The courthouse hadn't changed. Same chipped steps, same busted fan over the clerk's desk, clicking every 5 seconds like it was counting down something no one wanted to name. The clerk looked up. Older man. Eyebrows like feathers, coffee ring on every sheet. You got records on house staff from the Hale property? The clerk scratched his neck. Which year? All of them. The clerk blinked. Gonna need to narrow that down. Start around 78. Family business? Something like that. The clerk shuffled into the back. The cowboy waited, tapped the desk, watched the fan spin and almost stop. Then catch again, like it didn't know if it wanted to die. The clerk returned 10 minutes later, dragging a binder. Laid it down with a thump. Here's staff filings, county logs, property affidavits. The cowboy flipped through it fast. No Sarah, no maid, no girls. Nothing under domestic help. Nope. He flipped again. Deputies, female, mid-80s? The clerk pulled a second binder, lighter. Only 3 listed in that decade, he said. All men, no women until the 90s. The cowboy set the binder down. You sure? The clerk frowned. You sure you ain't talking folklore? He looked up. Excuse me? We get folks in here time to time. Talk about maids who whisper in dreams, girls buried in churchyards with clean fingernails, things like that. This ain't that. Maybe not, the clerk said, but no one's on record, no badge, no employment, no name. He stood, didn't thank the man, didn't need to. Walked out before the fan clicked again. The air outside felt too still, like the silence had followed him. He didn't stop at the diner, didn't stop at the chapel. He drove straight back, fast. Dust peeled off the road behind him like old skin. When he pulled into the yard, the first thing he saw was the grave. Not his father's, not the fake one marked mother, the unmarked one. The one his father had never let him near. She was standing beside it, hands folded, head tilted, barefoot, as always. He got out of the truck, but didn't walk toward her, just stood at the edge of the porch. "They don't have your name," he said. "I know. No maid on file, no deputy, nothing." "I know," she said again. "You said you worked for him." "I did." "You said you wore a badge." "I wore what was left of it." He stepped closer. "They think you're a story." "I am," she said. "But so are you." "I came looking for answers." "You came looking for permission to forget," she said. And they didn't give it. He walked until they stood shoulder to shoulder, both facing the grave. "Is this you?" "No." "Then who?" "Someone who couldn't leave." He took the braid from his pocket, held it in both hands. "This doesn't match any record." "It wouldn't." "Why not?" "Because she didn't come through the front door," she said. "She came through the cellar." He looked down at the stone. No writing, no date, just a rock, just a grave. "She sang," he whispered. "Yes." She said the house felt heavy. "Yes." "She braided your hair." "She braided yours," she said. He looked at her. She didn't move. "You're not here to haunt me." "No," she said. "I'm here to remind you." "Of what?" "That stories survive what records don't." He dropped the braid on the grave. The wind didn't move it. She looked at the stone. "She was small," the maid said, "but she knew when to run. He caught her anyway." He wiped his face with his sleeve. "I don't want to carry this." "You always have." "I didn't know what it was." "Now you do." They stood in silence. No birds, no wind, just the dust. And the weight of truth that never made it into ink. The house was almost still now. Almost. He'd cleaned every inch, pulled every board that creaked, scrubbed the seams where breath once leaked through, dug out ribbons, dug out names. But one door never opened. Not once. It sat at the end of the hall like a secret too big for memory. The knob tarnished, the lock rusted shut. He stood in front of it, hand hovering. He'd walked past it 100 times growing up. His father told him it was a closet, a supply room, said the hinges were bad, the floor unfinished, said there was nothing worth seeing. He pulled the knife from his belt, jammed it into the frame. The wood cracked, the lock gave. He pushed the door open slow. The hinges didn't squeal, no sound at all. Inside, nothing, just a room. Empty, dustless, not even footprints, no cobwebs, no rot, just stillness, thick, like syrup in the air. He stepped in. The floor didn't creak. He walked to the center and turned in a circle. The walls were bare, not a scratch, not a nail hole, no shelves, no furniture, just a room. And yet, it didn't feel empty. Behind him, soft feet, bare. He didn't turn. "I cleaned in here once," she said. He stayed quiet. "They brought them in late," she said. "Always late, when the moon was high and nobody was looking." He faced the far wall. "Who?" "You know." "Say it." "Your father, and the ones with him." He turned now. She stood in the doorway. "I never came in," he said. "Not once. That's why it stayed quiet." He looked at the floor. No stains, no dust, no sign of anything. "Doesn't look like anything happened here." "That's the trick," she said. "It never does." He walked to the corner, tapped the boards. "Hollow?" "No." "Then where?" "Right here," she said. "Open space. No chains, no ropes, just time." He looked at her. They waited. They sat. They listened. They were told to be good. He felt something rise in his throat. Not bile. Something heavier. "You said this is where they were brought." "It's where they were left," she said. He crouched, ran his hand across the floor. "Still clean. Too clean. What happened to them in here?" "They waited to be chosen." He shut his eyes. "I never knew." "You did." He opened them. "I was a boy." "You were a pair of eyes," she said. "That never blinked." He stood again. "What do I do with this room?" "Close it," she said. "Board it up." "No." "Burn it?" No, she said. You already tried that. Then what? Stand in it, feel it, and know it. He turned in another slow circle. No echo, no smell, just memory leaking through the walls like steam. He walked back to the door. She didn't move. You came here too? Yes. Alone? No. He waited. She didn't explain. He stepped out into the hallway again, stood beside her, then turned, looked back at the room. It still looked like nothing, still looked like a place you could ignore. He placed his hand on the knob, then slowly, deliberately, he closed the door, and it clicked shut with a sound he hadn't heard in years. Final, quiet, like a breath held too long, finally let go. She stood beside him, eyes on the floor. You don't need to open anymore, she said. There's nothing left, only what lives in you now. He stared at the wood grain, at the crack where the frame didn't seal right, and he knew the silence inside that room would never leave. But neither would she, not until the house finally forgot how to whisper. He left the door shut, and neither of them looked back. The new sheriff arrived on a Thursday. Young, fresh uniform, nervous eyes, the kind that still believed in order. He parked at the edge of the dirt road, engine running a little too long, like the house might hear it and change shape before he got close. The file in his lap had only 3 pages, handwritten, transferred from the last man to wear the badge, now buried quiet near the southern fence line. Missing persons, unfiled names, an old map drawn in red ink, and a note scrawled in the margin. If you go out there, bring nothing. The house remembers what you bring in. The sheriff cut the engine, stepped out. The house stood still, porch intact, roof straight, windows clear. No signs of anyone living, no signs of anyone dying, just stillness and clean boards. He stepped onto the porch. The wood didn't groan, no dust on the rail, no cobwebs under the eaves. He glanced in the window. Furniture gone, no rugs, no chairs, no firewood. The air inside looked untouched. He knocked. Nothing answered. He turned the knob, unlocked. He stepped inside slow. The floor didn't creak. The scent hit him first, soap and cedar, like someone had just finished scrubbing. The walls were bare, no frames, no photos. He moved through the rooms, each one emptier than the last. No bedding, no plates, no food, no life, just the soft echo of his boots. Back on the porch, he paused before heading down. That's when he saw it, folded neat on the top step. A maid's apron, worn linen, gray, pressed flat, tied in a perfect knot. He knelt beside it, didn't touch it at first. There was something inside. He unfolded it slow. The fabric opened like it had breath, and in the center, a braid, tightly wound, small, child's length. Still bound with a ribbon. But this one was stained, dark at the center, blood, old, but not gone. The sheriff stood slowly, looked back at the house. No breeze, no voice. But something sat heavy in the silence. Not warning, memory. He left the apron folded where he found it. Didn't take pictures, didn't bag the evidence. He knew better. The house didn't give things away. It only left reminders. And the floors stayed clean. He didn't run, didn't rush down the porch, didn't slam the cruiser door, but his boots hit the ground harder than he meant. The braid still sat where he left it. So did the apron. He hadn't touched either. He reached the driver's side, gripped the handle, paused. The breeze shifted. No birds, just wind moving like it remembered something. He opened the door, slid in, turned the key. The engine caught, then sputtered once. He didn't look back at the house. Didn't need to. It wasn't waiting for him. He pulled onto the gravel, let the wheels roll soft until the tires met grass at the edge of the woods. Sun was dropping low. Long shadows, orange light bent through branches like broken glass. He let the truck idle, one hand on the wheel, one on the door. And then, a whisper, low, soft, his name. Spoken the way you'd call a child in a game. He froze. The engine hummed, steady. He looked out the window. No one, nothing moved in the trees. He cut the engine, opened the door, stepped out. Hello? Nothing. But the wind felt thicker now. He turned full circle. Who's there? Still no answer, but the woods were watching. He could feel it, the way your back stiffens when someone's behind you. He touched the base of his neck and paused. His fingers came back gray. Dust. Not fresh. Old. Settled. He rubbed his hand against his shirt, wiped again. Still there, like something had touched him first. He didn't go back to the house. Didn't call it in. Didn't write it down. He just got in the truck, started the engine, and drove. Fast, windows down, trying to outrun something he couldn't name. But long after the road turned back to pavement, after the last tree was behind him, he could still feel it. That whisper, not hers anymore. Something else, something deeper, something that had waited for a name, and finally found one.